By now Milarepa had built and torn down towers until his hands were raw and his back was one long open wound. He had done everything Marpa asked, and still the teaching had not come. Every time he dared to hope, Marpa found a new reason to drive him away. The young man who had once moved mountains with his sorcery was now bent under stones, weeping in secret, certain that he was the most cursed creature alive. He had murdered 35 people, and he had crossed all of Tibet to be saved, and the door of salvation seemed shut in his face. It was in this darkness that one figure became his only light. Her name was Dagmema, the wife of Marpa, a woman of deep kindness and quiet strength. She watched this ragged servant labor and bleed, and her heart could not bear it. Where her husband thundered, she comforted. She brought him food when no one was looking. She dressed the terrible sore on his back. She spoke to him gently, the way a mother speaks to a child who has lost his way, and many times he wept against her words because they were the only tenderness he had known in years. Again and again, Dagmema pleaded with Marpa. She reminded him that the boy had done all that was demanded and more. She begged him to give Milarepa even the smallest initiation, some sign that the path was real. But Marpa would only roar that the work was not finished, that the towers were crooked, that this murderer had not yet earned a single word of the holy Dharma. Each refusal sent Milarepa deeper into despair, until Dagmema decided she could wait no longer. She devised a plan, born of love but also of impatience. There was another disciple of Marpa, a learned and gentle man named Ngakpa, who lived some distance away and held genuine teachings of the lineage. Dagmema reasoned that if Marpa would not teach Milarepa, perhaps Ngakpa would. So she took matters into her own hands. In secret she wrote a letter, and she sealed it with Marpa's own seal, and she forged words in it as though Marpa himself were sending his servant to receive instruction. She gave Milarepa precious offerings to carry, treasures from the household, so that he would not arrive empty-handed. Then she sent him off, full of hope at last, believing that the master had finally relented. Milarepa traveled to Ngakpa and presented the forged letter and the gifts. Ngakpa welcomed him warmly and, trusting the seal, gave him the initiation and the instructions for which his whole soul had thirsted. With trembling joy, Milarepa went into retreat to practice. He sat, he breathed, he poured his heart into the methods, waiting for the inner heat to rise, waiting for the signs of realization that the teachings promised. But nothing came. No warmth, no light, no flowering of the mind. The instructions, which had transformed others, lay dead in his hands. The reason became clear in time, and it is the heart of this chapter. The teachings had been given without Marpa's knowledge and without his blessing. In this tradition, the living transmission flows from teacher to disciple like water through an unbroken channel. A teaching seized by trickery, however precious in itself, is like a seed planted in soil that has not been prepared. Ngakpa was sincere. The methods were true, yet the deception poisoned the root, and so nothing could grow. The deception, of course, could not stay hidden. When the truth came out, that the letter had been forged and the seal misused, Marpa fell into a fury greater than any before. He raged at Ngakpa, he raged at Dagmema, and most of all the storm fell upon Milarepa, who had now, it seemed, failed in the one path left to him. This was the lowest point of Milarepa's whole life. He had tried obedience and been beaten. He had tried, through Dagmema's stratagem, to reach the teaching by another door, and that too had collapsed in shame. He had failed with Marpa, he had failed with Ngakpa, he had failed even at the practice itself. There was nothing left. In utter brokenness, he resolved to leave Marpa forever, and in his heart he no longer wished to live. He gathered his few rags and prepared to wander off and die, convinced that a man with his karma was simply beyond rescue. What this part of the story teaches is something the heart already half knows. Sometimes the cleverest shortcut, taken out of love or out of desperation, only deepens the wound, because there are things that cannot be stolen or hurried, only received when one is truly ready. Dagmema's compassion was real and beautiful, Yet her trick could not give Milarepa what only Marpa's blessing could give. And notice this, the breaking point and the breakthrough often stand side by side. A man must sometimes come to the very end of his own strength, to the edge of giving up entirely, before the door he has been pounding on can finally open from the other side. In the next chapter, we will see that door open at last. Just as Milarepa is leaving forever, ready to die, Marpa will reveal the secret hidden behind all the cruelty, why the trials had to be so hard, and what the demolished towers were truly building all along.